Hi, I'm Ben, and today I wanted to talk about the National Board of Review and AFI, who recently just released their top 10 best films of the years, which can have some interesting precedent for the Oscars award race. So I just wanted to review the 10 films that were selected by each of these committees, boards, whatever they are, discuss them, see which ones they have in common, and also just kind of look at the history of the past few years. So without further ado, I want to share my screen real quick. These were notes that I took on these films. And I wanted to talk about the AFI and the National Board of Review and just kind of go over these films and which ones they had in common. I should just note National Board of Review apparently has 11 films selected this year. I don't know if that's, I thought it had to be a 10, but apparently there's been some years where they've gone over. They selected Wicked as their winner. And let's just kind of start with the National Board of Review, because this one is one that doesn't fully match what I believe the expectations for this award season are going to be. And I just want to say this is a new format. I'm trying it out. I'm doing the Notes app and I'm trying to just kind of go through the history. If you guys at all have complaints about it, either with my handwriting or you're not liking the format or you have another suggestion, please let me know in the comments below, because these videos are meant for you. They are supposed to be a discussion and I want to make sure that you guys are enjoying them. So any suggestions are always welcome. With that said, let's jump into this National Board of Review and look at these films. We have a few here. First being Anora. And then we have Babygirl, which hails from A24, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Furiosa, A Mad Max Saga, Gladiator II, Juror number 2, Queer, A Real Pain, Sing Sing, and Wicked, which ended up winning the National Board of Review. And I just wanted to talk about some of the big surprises on here. Let's just actually focus one on A Complete Unknown, because A Complete Unknown will also be on the AFI list, which you may notice on the left, but it's been coming out hot. I've now know people have seen this movie. I keep getting the same general message of this movie's good, and Chalamet is now in the best actor race for sure. And people have been happy with this movie. With that said, like James Mangold, a very competent director, I believe this movie, let's just look real quick. Let's jump to this. This were my best picture predictions as of November 21st, 2024. I haven't updated them since. I do have A Complete Unknown at the very bottom there, 10. So let's jump back to this. So I am believing the A Complete Unknown hype. And I'm hoping to see this movie maybe in the next week or two. We will see. But with that said, I think this movie's coming out strong, and I think it is certainly now cemented itself in the race. Let's talk about some of the other weird ones just off the bat. Warner Brothers has a few films in here: Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, and they also have Juror number 2. I'd love to believe that Juror number 2 could get an actual Oscar nominations, because I've been singing that film's praises since I saw it. I just don't think it's a reality. They seemingly ignored this movie. They haven't had Clint Eastwood out there, maybe due to some personal reason in his own life. I don't exactly know what it is. I'm not buying the hype on this movie as much as I want to be the one delivering the hype on this movie, because I think this is one of the 10 best films that I've seen this year. So Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, it's just not happening. This is kind of a weird pick by them, but we'll talk about this because the National Board of Review is not a branch that necessarily aligns with Academy history as much as AFI is. AFI actually much closer aligns to the top 10 for the Oscars. Wicked wins. I don't know what that actually means. So I don't think Wicked winning means that it's going to then go on to win Best Picture. However, I'm going to show this later. Actually, I can just kind of scroll down right now. Wicked winning is good precedent for it getting an Oscar nomination. Not necessarily a win, but an Oscar nomination. In this branch's history, in National Board of Review, they've had 3 films that went on to win the National Board of Review, I should say, and then also won Best Picture. Those 3 films are No Country for Old Men, Slumdog Millionaire, and Green Book. So 2007, 2008, 2018. Here's an interesting stat, though. There have only been, from 2010 to now, 2 films that won this award, that won the National Board of Review, that didn't end up getting nominated for Oscars. One of them was A Most Violent Year, which was 2014, and the other one is The Five Bloods. And let's just kind of explore both of those because there's some weird caveats to both of them. 2014, the Academy did not have to nominate 10 films. That is a huge, huge thing to remember because we don't know. Maybe that means The Most Violent Year was the 10th. The Five Bloods came out during COVID. That is, everything is weird during COVID. Every time you look at it, I totally forgot Leslie Odom Jr. got nominated for an Oscar for that. Now I actually said it out loud, and I'm not actually sure if I had that right. Maybe I read that wrong. But like I said, that is not good precedent for this. And excuse me as I plug in my phone. So I think we're back. Hopefully my camera doesn't die out on me. But what I'm trying to show here is that I do believe Wicked is firmly in the best picture race. I don't think this indicates that it will win. I do think it is showing that this film is going to get nominated, and I'm feeling pretty good about that bet. Let's actually now, again, looking at these 11, let's now go through the history of this branch of National Board of Review. And in history, I really am just trying to focus on the years where they've had 10 nominees. The Oscars had 10 nominees, I should say. Because the years where it's like, oh, well, technically the Academy just decided to nominate 8. Like, what does that really tell us in stats? There were 10 films. National Board had 10 films. So in this case, it has 11. So that's obviously a weird outlier as well. What did they get? So in 2023, they hit 7 of the 10. They had 3 films that did not go on to get nominated for Best Picture. The Boy and the Heron, Ferrari, The Iron Claw. 2022, they had 5 that did not go on to win. Not win, be nominated for Best Picture. That was After Sun, that was Glass Onion and Knives Out Story, that was RRR, that was Till, and that was The Woman King. 2021, they had 3 films that did not go on to get nominations for Best Picture. The Last Duel, Red Rocket, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and then finally 2020, 6 films did not go on to get a Best Picture nomination. Those 6 would be The Five Bloods, First Cow, The 40-Year-Old Version, The Midnight Sky, News of the World, and Soul. What I'm trying to lay out here in this moment, and I'll cut back to me, what I'm trying to lay out in this moment is just the idea that the National Board of Review, this isn't the greatest of indicators. Now, I think what is more important is actually to see where these 2 branches align, where these 2 bodies have commonality. And in that commonality, we might actually be able to see what is in the race, and also what is excluded from both may also indicate some trends to look forward to. So let's cut back to this. Let's scroll up real quick and let's review the AFI Motion Pictures of the Year. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This one has 10. I just had to double check. This one has 10. We have Anora, which hails from Neon. We have The Brutalist. We have A Complete Unknown. We have Conclave. We have Dune Part 2. We have Emilia Perez. We have Nickel Boys. We have A Real Pain. We have Sing Sing. And we have Wicked. So these in yellow that I have highlighted right here, these are films that are on both lists. So let's look at the ones that correspond between AFI and National Board of Review. We have Anora. We have A Complete Unknown. We have Conclave. We have A Real Pain. We have Sing Sing. And we have Wicked. What is only on AFI? The Brutalist. A film that technically hasn't screened yet for most people, unless you've been in the festival circuits. It's just something to keep in mind. You have Dune Part 2, which again, Warner Brothers had 2 films for National Board of Review. Those were Furiosa and Juror number 2. I'm not taking those to mean much. I think Dune Part 2 is probably pretty safe. We have Emilia Perez. I National Board of Review can be sometimes a little weird with the international films. I don't take much precedent into National Board of Review missing Emilia Perez. We have Nickel Boys. Those are the ones that did not line up with National Board of Review. These are the ones that have only appeared on the AFI Motion Pictures of the Year list. So let's just kind of gather some stuff. And I wanted, again, just share my screen right now. And so number 1, as of November 21st, when I last updated this list, I had Anora. Number 2, I had Wicked. Number 3, I had Conclave. Number 4, I had The Brutalist. Number 5, I had Emilia Perez. Number 6, I had Dune Part 2. Number 7, I had A Real Pain. Number 8, I had Blitz, which I just want to remind people is an international film that doesn't always get the love from AFI. Number 9, I had Gladiator II. And number 10, I have A Complete Unknown. I also wanted to just amend a statement real quick. I said it doesn't get the love from AFI. I want to amend that real quick. I want to say that I think international films can do better in the Oscars because there's a much better voting body. Not necessarily that the AFI is excluding international films. So just let me clarify that real quick. So on this list, I have a few that match up. I have Anora. I have Wicked. I have Conclave. I have The Brutalist. I have Emilia Perez. So that's 5. Dune Part 2. A Real Pain. Gladiator 2 is not on that list. And then A Complete Unknown. So 8. So the 2 that I had that they don't have is Blitz and Gladiator 2, which I kind of think are maybe the 2 softest movies at this point. I think this is all pretty interesting. And let's cut back to me for a second. Oops, sorry. What I find interesting about this specifically is I'm not positive on Blitz and Gladiator 2 at this moment. I think Gladiator 2 just feels a little soft. And it seems to be a bit divisive. Now, it actually doesn't seem to be as divisive with audiences. It's doing pretty well box office wise. Everyone who I know has talked, everyone that I know who's I've talked to about this film seemingly really likes this film. There's something soft about it. It's another sequel. You already have Dune Part 2. Most, if not everyone, agrees that Dune Part 2 is the better of the sequels. It's better than Dune Part 1 to most people. Gladiator 2 is significantly not better than the first Gladiator movie. As much as I really like Gladiator 2, it's just not better than the first Gladiator film. I think that's playing against it. Like, the argument would be that Gladiator 2 is the case of Avatar: The Way of Water. The issue is I actually think Avatar: The Way of Water is in comparable quality to the first Avatar movie and has significantly better effects than Gladiator 2 has. Blitz, I'm just not sold on. I think it will still probably get in just due to the international vote that will go for this movie. Let's talk about some films that didn't appear on either list, though. And I think this is actually maybe a little bit more important. Films that didn't make either AFI or National Board of Review. Those are 5 films that I mentioned on this list right here. I had them just kind of as honorable mentions. Those 5 films are Nosferatu, September 5th, The Room Next Door, The Substance, and The Piano Lesson. So does that mean their best picture hopes are dead? I don't think so, and I think some maybe. Let's just talk about the ones that feel kind of like they could have really used a boost from AFI or National Board. September 5th, however you call it. I kind of thought like September 5th was a movie that it could appear on AFI or National Board of Review. I just want to like point out, like, this is the same branch that a few years ago nominated. Which one? Do I not have this note down? I thought, in 2023, they nominated Ferrari. National Board of Review nominated Ferrari in 2023. Like, I don't think we should take, again, National Board of Review by any means, like as at face value. However, this felt like a case where it's just like, okay, maybe this is where September 5 gets a win. Maybe AFI, like it just felt like this is where a film like September 5 could really start building some buzz. It didn't do that. Neither, interestingly enough, did The Room Next Door, which I think a lot of people have in their top 10 at this moment. I'm not feeling this movie. And I've said it this entire race. The Lost in Translation is the thing that I keep hearing from prominent critics. It might be still a good movie. It's just that it's slightly lost to translation, unlike some of his other films, unlike some of Pedro's other films. Some of these other films I wasn't sure on, like The Substance. Again, I kind of had a wish that The Substance could get into Best Picture. And, when some of these bodies have nominated films like Glass Onion, like Knives Out, like there was a element of genre that I thought could happen, but I'm not surprised to see The Substance left off. I had it on my honorable mentions. I'm not really positive / thinking that The Substance will actually be in the top 10. The Piano Lesson was an interesting one. I actually thought The Piano Lesson could do well at AFI or National Board of Review. It obviously didn't. Again, this kind of feels like a bridge too far. I'm not really feeling any momentum being gained by The Piano Lesson. And the more and more people see it, the less people are seemingly getting enthused for it. I thought it was the weakest of the August Wilson recent adaptations. And I think a lot of people are seemingly agreeing with me. One thing that I wanted to do was actually, because I forgot to do it, was the AFI Motion Pictures of the Year. Looking at their 2023 through 2020, these 4 years, here's where they lined up. And remember, for 2023, for National Board, they had 3 that missed, 5 that missed, 3 that missed, and then 6 that missed. On the contrary, AFI in 2020 had 3 that missed. The Five Bloods, One Night in Miami, Soul. Again, COVID year. 2021, Tick, Tick, Boom, Tragedy, Macbeth, just 2 misses. 2022, Nope, The Woman King, just 2 misses. 2023, May, December, Spider-Verse. So let's just note one thing. Spider-Verse and Soul, AFI is not opposed to nominating animated films. That is just one thing that I think is really apparent, because obviously the Academy Awards is. I think the last animated film that got nominated for Best Picture was Up in 2009. Actually, no, that's a lie. 2010, I think Toy Story 3 gets in. So those are just 2 really ones to just note real quick. And the reason I'm noting all of this is just to say that AFI is the list that I trust a little bit more in actual prognostics, I guess, if you will. I just think it's probably more likely going to end up being on these lists. So obviously, I mentioned the films that I feel really comfortable seeing on this list. I think Anora is obvious. I think we can all agree Anora is going to get a Best Picture nomination. I think The Brutalist seems obvious as well. So that's 2. I think Conclave. I think Dune Part 2. I think Emilia Perez, even though the backlash is hitting, I still think it's going to get it. And I think Wicked. So those are 6 that I feel very confident. So 60% I feel pretty much are locks. Let's then talk about some of the others that appear in there. I've been saying I think A Real Pain is just going to get in there due to this year. And A Complete Unknown seems to be getting the reviews and positive enough press that it's going to possibly get in there too. So now we're at 8, which leaves us with 2 slots left. That could give us a few things. If you were to believe AFI, they would say that is Nickel Boys and Sing Sing. And just to again note, Sing Sing is on both the National Board and AFI. Do I think Sing Sing and Nickel Boys are going to get in? I've been weirdly high on Nickel Boys, despite the fact that I know a lot of people haven't seen this movie / I haven't seen this movie. I'm feeling a positive buzz from this film's release. And I'm trying to explain that. I think ultimately what I'm feeling is Amazon MGM, who's the studio that's releasing Nickel Boys, did the same thing last year with American Fiction. They released the movie basically mid-December to rave reviews. People really appreciated the art, what the story was trying to say, and it was a lot of just feel good into the Oscar season. It was kind of the movie that came out at the right time that was able to get on a wave and ended up winning a best adapted screenplay. I think it's adapted. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's adapted screenplay. Kind of think Nickel Boys could have that same trajectory, even to the point that I'm not even pretty sure Nickel Boys would also be an adapted screenplay nomination. So like it seemingly is doing everything that American Fiction did. And obviously these are not just one-to-one comparisons. However, I'm feeling that same feeling that I had last year with American Fiction. Positive reviews, glowing reviews even, coming out at the right time. People are getting more and more excited about it. I think that's the big thing. How I gauge all of this is how are people reacting? And if I see more people having conversations about one film, I feel better about its chances going into the month. If I see less and less people talking about it, then I get a little bit nervous. And I tried doing this through polling, right? Even just with my friends. The fact that people have asked me about the Nickel Boys implies to me that this film is gaining momentum. Same thing with American Fiction last year, where around December, I started hearing people like, hey, like someone like Cinema Joe just recommended American Fiction on TikTok. Like, what is this movie? I want to see it. Like, when does it come out? On that same side, like, I'm not hearing those conversations about Blitz. I am hearing it a lot about the Bob Dylan movie right now, A Complete Unknown. My 16-year-old cousins were like, oh yeah, we want to see that movie. Like, I was kind of shocked that they both said they wanted to see that movie. 16-year-old girls wanted to see A Complete Unknown. Like, that is certainly, and I think it's the Chalamet effect in that one. But I'm hearing stuff like that. And I'm hearing that with like The Brutalist, is another film that it's just like, it's getting into the corners who follow these discussions enough that I'm being told by them that they're anticipating it. And I'm hearing that with Nickel Boys. The films that I'm not hearing that with is like Emilia Perez. Not hearing anyone talk about that. No one's asking me about it. No one's asking me about September 5. No one's asking me about The Room Next Door. No one's asking me about The Piano Lesson. So The Substance, they are. Nosferatu, they are. Sing Sing is the weird one. Let's just talk about Sing Sing for a second. This is probably the weirdest one to predict because I don't know what to do with this film. And I was on the Oscars race subreddit today, and I got downvoted a lot for essentially saying, I'm not buying into the belief that this movie is going to get a Best Picture. And here's my logic to it. Not because I've saw and disliked this movie. The complete reality is I have not gotten the chance to see this movie. And that's weird. This movie technically premiered across the US back in like July. And I still haven't seen this film. For reference, when it was in Sacramento, I think it was only here for 2 weeks. It legitimately was having like one showtime a day at like 3 p.m. I work. Like, I couldn't go to that screening. I didn't get the option to see Sing Sing unless I took a day off from work to go see it. Now, I keep hearing A24 is going to release this film again. It's going to get another theatrical release to get in line with the Oscar vote and like really try to build up the hype. And like, here's the thing that I will give Sing Sing the credit. You know, that comparison that I just drew a few minutes ago where what are my friends telling me? Like, what are the people that I'm talking to who are not following this particularly closely, but do just have an interest and love of movies and try to keep up and follow some of these TikTok accounts talking about these movies? Sing Sing is one that is in the conversation. And the case that I keep hearing it is like, hey, I keep hearing Sing Sing is great, but when can we see it? Like, when can I go to the theater to see it with you? And my response keeps being, I don't know. Like, I don't know when this movie is going to get a wide release. I don't know when you're going to get the chance to see it. It's not streaming anywhere. Like, I really don't know how you will see this movie. So that's the weird thing. That's the hang up that I'm having with it. Now let's make the case for and against Sing Sing in a second. The case is that this film is seemingly universally praised/love. And here's what I think is my holdup is I think of a film like last year, Past Lives, which also came out in the summer that ended up getting a Best Picture nomination. And my logic is, well, shouldn't that be what Sing Sing is trying to be? A film that comes out in the summer that ends up getting a nomination for Best Picture despite coming out in the summer. Like, it was able to carry the momentum. People had a love for it. The difference is you could see Sing Sing shortly after the summer. Like, it eventually did hit VOD. And there was a conversation about it, and like people were able to see and appreciate the film and the artistry. Sing Sing's not having this. And then you could take the other comparison of, well, look at the other film that A24 campaigned last year, which was The Zone of Interest, which The Zone of Interest was this movie that came out at the festivals to pretty much critical acclaim. And then A24 buys it, and then they don't let anyone see it until basically January. Some of the critics obviously got to see it. I got to see it, luckily, right before my cutoff for my top 10 list, top 10 best films list. And I mean, quite literally, I saw it December 30th. And I literally drove out of my way to go see it because I'm like, I really want to see this film before I publish a list. Most people didn't get to see that film basically until like a few days before the Oscar nominations were announced. And for a lot of people, they probably actually saw a post. And obviously that, the normal audience is not voting for the Academy Awards. The Academy, they get their screeners through their links, like all this stuff, like they get their FYC copies. Like, it is a very common practice for them to go out and see this movie. So like, it's not necessarily that I'm like, whoa, this film's coming out. Like, even if this film comes out like a week before, that means all the Academy voters have to see it. Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking more about the momentum of it. And my thing is, like, with that, like, that is illogical. I understand that case that people would make. The thing is, A24 is already doing that with another movie. And that movie is The Brutalist. The Brutalist, which is critically acclaimed, considered a masterpiece, like considered one of the best films of the year, is going to be released sometime at the end of this year on a pretty limited release. And then it's going to build up, and they're hoping that it gets a lot of Oscar nominations and people will hear it through it that way. And like, that's how they release this movie, like right time to release this movie. So you're kind of suggesting to me that A24 is doing this twice. They're going to be doing this with The Brutalist and Sing Sing at the same time. I get it in the case of The Brutalist, which is a film that is kind of described as this epic, this huge film, like this masterpiece, this story of the American dream, like all these big ideas and these huge performances, like all that. Sing Sing is a much smaller film, and that's not necessarily like, I know the budgets are actually semi-comparable within the millions, but like, I think Sing Sing is a much more intimate story. It feels much more indie spirit, if you will, where The Brutalist feels of a more epic quality. And that's where I get worried about this idea of Sing Sing kind of waiting with its campaign. And again, I get the logic of like, oh, well, you want to peak at the right time. You don't want to like teeter off. Like, you don't want to start off strong and then just kind of like limp to the finish and then you get skipped. Like, I totally understand that. The thing is, like, if you want to do that, why did you start with the limping to begin with? Like, why did you release Sing Sing in the summer? Only for you then not to really allow many people / most people to go and see this film. And then you're now in the scenario where no one's going to see this film. And now you're saying you're re-releasing it. Like, that's the thing. They are saying they are re-releasing it, almost like confirming like, oh yeah, no one saw it the first time around. I don't get that strategy. And again, maybe that strategy will pay off. I just don't get it. Like, The Brutalist is being held and they're waiting for it. Sing Sing, like, people got to see it, just not a lot of people. And then, like, in that case, like, those people, like, it was so far and few that they like praised the movie, but it wasn't over like widespread. Like, there wasn't enough praise of the movie to start with. That's the part of this that I just find weird, and I'm not getting over it. I don't know. I'm not feeling the Sing Sing momentum in this moment. Again, maybe I'll see this movie soon in like a week and I'll totally be on board. I'm kind of waiting now, and I just don't get what A24 is doing with this. And again, I'm not a strategist in this. I'm sure A24 is good at this stuff. Like they're clearly good at running a campaign. On the outside looking in, I just don't think the strategy is strong. I just don't get the logic. I don't understand why release your movie to the summer to no one getting to see it, let it basically lose all form of momentum and buzz and not have an audience like support and champion this movie. That's the thing. Like A24 has been largely word of mouth for their best wins. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once won Best Picture because people saw the film in March and championed it for a year. Past Lives, same thing. People saw that film in the summer, shared it, loved it, told their family and friends about it. And there was this almost community that, so the point where when people got to see it, they could join and share that love. And like people just wanted to see it. Sing Sing, I just don't feel that necessarily. There is a community, there's obviously an audience, but I'm just like, I don't know if it's a wide scale audience / I don't know if it's just like a critic audience. And maybe a critic film can get in this way. I just think it would be better for an audience to really champion. I think audience championing of a film is a really valuable, organic way to promote your film. And in this case, like they're already seemingly going the critic route for one. Are they going to be able to do it for two? I'm not sure. That's why I'm feeling a little not sure about it. The other film on this list that I wanted to talk about that I have that they don't have is Blitz, which I've already made my case. International feature. I think this will ultimately get in. So that kind of leaves me kind of saying that I'm switching Nickel Boys in there. I am buying AFI, but we'll see. Even that one's, I think, could be a little weak. Nosferatu will be coming out in a few weeks, and I only keep hearing buzz about it. Like, could that jump in? I don't think it's impossible. I'm not feeling so good about September 5. Maybe The Room Next Door comes out and surprises, but that's ultimately how I'm feeling at this moment. So that's the AFI Motion Pictures of the year. That is the National Board of Review. So let me know, guys, did you like this format? Did you like what I had to say? Are my thoughts on these films just too controversial? Like, tell me. Apparently they're too controversial for some. I don't know what to tell you besides the fact that I'm just telling you how I see it. And I feel like my gut's okay. I feel like I have at least, if not a knack for this, I won't go as far as say I have a knack. I will say that I feel pretty in tuned in this, and that my senses on this and seeing where momentum has largely paid off for me in the past. So thank you all for watching this video. And again, this is all for fun. This is all for entertainment, and this is all for you. So if you like this format, if you wanted me to adjust it, if you needed anything changed in it, if I was coming in too soft in my audio, if my visuals weren't clean, or it was hard to read, or it was hard to see, like, let me know. I need to know these things to give you guys the better product. Thank you all for watching this video. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more. I'll be having reviews coming out this week. I believe I'm seeing Queer soon. I'm seeing Flow soon. I might be seeing that Y2K movie with Kyle Mooney, who's a comedian I quite like. Might be seeing A Complete Unknown real soon. I have a lot of films coming up, so make sure to like and subscribe. And you guys really do help me get to see these movies early. Your guys' support, that's what allows me to get in these screeners. This is what allows me to get these press notifications and make a name for myself. So thank you all for your support, and stay tuned for more.